screen or just?
Well, first it cut out just the video,
Okay, well, we could call.
but you can still hear it, but then the audio went out.
I don't have cable, so let me know.
So I
'cause
did the
we'll call.
YouTube.
All right, so we will now call this public hearing on the preliminary budget to order. Yeah? Can we stand and pledge a flag?
Yeah, I think we need to back that up.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mike, I think you should back your mic.
Yeah.
Back up.
Oh, yeah, because he made it loud. Our town clerk will read the public notice.
Notice is hereby given that the preliminary budget for the town of Clinton for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2025, including general town funds, highway funds, and related capital project funds, was filed on October 24, 2024, in the town clerk's office, town of Clinton, 1215 Center Road, Schultzville, New York, where it's available for inspection by any interested party during the town clerk's regular office hours, as well as on the town's website, townofclinton.com. The town board of the town of Clinton shall hold a public hearing on said preliminary budget on Wednesday, November 6, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. in the Clinton Town Hall, 1215 Center Road, excuse me, Schultzville, New York, showing such changes, alterations, and revisions as shall have been made therein by the town board of the town of Clinton. At such hearing, any person will be heard in favor of or against the preliminary budget as compiled, or for or against any particular item or items therein contained. The following are the 2025 proposed salaries of each member of the town board, supervisor, town clerk, town highway superintendent, town justices, and tax collector. Council persons, $8,327 each. Town supervisor, $40,805. Town clerk, $57,983. Town highway superintendent, $71,373. Town justices, $21,961 each. Tax collector, $8,856. Dated October 24th by order of the town board. That's it.
Thank you. I make a motion to open the floor to public comments. Is any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. So anyone can speak on the budget. Come to the mic if you want. Anyone?
I received a communication from a town resident that I would like to read, at least in part. She commented that Arlene always works very hard and is always so helpful. So to please leave her current salary. The salary is in the budget.
All right. And
Do you want to give their name?
Yes, Patty Smith.
Okay, thank you.
I received an email at like
Okay, this
5 to 6.
comes from,
Elliott Trading.
email comes from Sam Moyer on Hollow Road, and he writes as follows, addressed to the Clinton Town Board, as you meet to consider this year's budget, I would like to take a moment to recognize your hard work and dedication. This is the entire town board, even though the message went to Michael. First and most important to most members of our town, you've managed to lower taxes for the second consecutive year. This is no small thing in this economy, and we are grateful. I also note that our town has achieved bronze status as a climate-smart community, which means potentially more savings and definitely a smaller impact on our environment and ecology. This board has always fought tenaciously to fund and maintain our community library, a much-beloved hub. The funding initiative for the library passed last night with about 75% support. The board is committed to honoring servicemen and servicewomen from the town with the Hometown Heroes Project. Finally, I know Mike and the other members of the town board have been diligent about finding and using ARPA money to tackle some much-needed projects around the town. With sincere gratitude for your work and commitment to our community, I recognize and support this budget. Signed, Sam Moyer, Hollow Road.
Anyone else? Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Canham. I live on, can you hear me? Longview Road. My husband Charlie serves on the zoning appeals board. And he didn't ask me to, but he has frequently, I guess, acknowledged the wealth of experience and knowledge that Arlene brings to the job. And just say how much he appreciates, values, and enjoys working with Arlene because she's a face with the public. There's stuff coming at her all the time. She's on top of everything, so I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Judy.
Anyone else? All right, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I
Is there-
actually have
oh,
something
yeah, I
to
was-
say, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about, well, thank you all for coming. It is nice when people come in to these meetings and express their opinions. It helps us to do our job. I wanted to talk about the changes that were made last minute to the highway secretary's salary. Marion and I are in the minority on that, and I certainly understand that I'm only one of five, and I think Marion does too, and we can accept that the majority chose a different path. And I would actually argue that as not agreeing, we make a much stronger board as a general rule. If we all agreed, I don't think we would serve our constituents very well. But what doesn't make us stronger, in my opinion, is backroom planning and last-minute bait and switches and attempts to silence other board members. Those changes were sprung on the board members at the last second, despite there being a lovely summary in front of the budget, which detailed the changes, but didn't say anything about that, despite the fact they were all here a few minutes before the board meeting, and it could have been mentioned. Nothing was said. Interestingly enough, today, time was taken to send us an email explaining that this was not a time for us to speak, actually, that we should be quiet, and this is time only for the public to speak. So clearly, communication can be made, but was chosen not to be made at that time. I also want to point out that both deputy supervisor and supervisor stated at that meeting that they did not agree to the changes that were, well, to the original amount that was then changed at that meeting. I would ask that you all go back and you watch that October 17th meeting at about minute 59 and listen, because it was deputy supervisor's idea to make both of the increases the same. And everyone did generally agree that that was a good way to start. So none of this was improper legally. It was all done with Carol here, and it was all above board. But I want all of you here and anybody watching to be conscious of the tactics, because it's the same thing that happened on the January 2024 meeting, where there were last-minute changes with no warning, which really there's no reason, because they had the majority. Would have gotten what he wanted anyway. And tries to dismiss any discussion and any dissent. So I just want you all to be aware who represents you as your supervisor. And I'm very disappointed in the way that was handled. Thank you.
thank you. Dan and Dawn, we closed the public hearing already, but if you have something to say, I'll reopen.
We can redo.
Can I respond to Catherine?
Yeah, of course.
Just to Okay, before,
Do you want him to speak, or are you gonna speak?
I just want to,
You asked Dan to speak, but now you're speaking.
well, I'm
Yeah.
responding to Catherine.
Okay, but he
He'll
already asked
respond
Dan.
first
Fine.
and then we'll do
Okay,
Dan.
go ahead, Dan.
All right. I make a motion to reopen the floor to public comments. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Speak.
Okay, Dan Harkness, the Recreation Director for the town. I think all my questions were answered. I just wondering about the maintenance guy we're gonna have, Tim Horton.
Yeah, I can hear
Dan
you.
can't
Can
hear
you talk
you.
louder?
Okay, how's that?
Better.
Or I can just speak over it.
Loud.
Okay, so no, I was just questioning,
Yeah.
he was 32 hours this year, now you're gonna move him back to 28 hours.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering why that was. And
So, to answer that, he is eligible for holiday pay and sick time, but at 30 hours or more, it was thought he would be eligible for health care, which he said he didn't want. So we raised the rate but made it 28. Now, because of this discussion with Kathy, she is looking into maybe bringing him to 30 because we may still fall under the number of employees under the ACA.
okay,
He can be 30.
okay, my concern was getting all the work done.
Yeah,
That's
I
all.
know.
Because now he's at 32, and I understand the laws, if you're 32 or more, I just,
Yeah.
you know, I think that got explained to me, but I just wanted to confirm that that's why the hours are cut back.
And I am not worried about him taking the health care. He says he's on Medicare, he doesn't need it. But we would have to budget for it.
Gotcha.
And so it would add to the number we have.
It added to
If you put him back to 30 hours a week, are you lowering his salary again?
Yeah, it'll probably stay about the same,
So
yeah.
the end, you're gonna, his
Yeah, at the
annual
end
salary
will-
will be the same, but you're going to
Yeah,
figure out the math.
the numbers will stay the same.
I'm worried about the bottom line of the budget. You're worried about how many hours, sorry.
Yeah, and, no, you have a legitimate concern.
Yeah, I was concerned about the hour and the wages, because, you know, I don't see the wages in there, so, what I'm seeing. so
Oh, all right.
He just
Oh,
has
you
the
have
Excel
the,
spreadsheet.
yes.
Yes.
The whole department.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So I'll have Kathy reach out to you when we have more definitive answers. I'll email everyone too,
okay,
just
that,
to
that'd
let
be
them
great.
know. But,
That'd be great.
yeah,
That-
your
that was my concern.
concerns are valid.
So, but the other stuff, as long as we stayed the same, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
excellent.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right.
So you wanna close it and then
Yep.
you can talk?
I make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Elliot, you had
Okay.
something
Yeah,
to say.
I just want to lay out my view of what happened, not getting into a tit for tat here or anything of that sort. My view or recollection is that the board agreed to put both salaries back in the budget, I should say, and then revisit the issue when we came together again. That there was not a commitment to support either one. We could have supported both, we could have supported neither, we could have supported one or the other. That's what I proposed in the interest of moving the discussion along, because we were clearly at a stalemate. And that was my recollection of what the board agreed to do. So it was a different,
I appreciate that, and that's, you know, so, I think sometimes conversations are subject to interpretation. But my point about, that could have been mentioned, the changes could have been mentioned, there were multiple opportunities to let us know that that change was going to be proposed. the word missed. And I would argue that it seems to be on purpose. And for no reason, because you two knew you were gonna vote, and I don't know if you spoke to Charlie or not, but you would've had, chances were pretty good you had the vote, so I just don't understand. I just don't like being treated that way, and there was no reason for it.
It's the second time you made reference to being treated poorly. It was an open meeting with an open mic on TV. I don't recall anybody being treated poorly, with all due respect.
I appreciate that, but what I didn't appreciate was, again, a last-minute switch. There's a summary page with all the changes that we were given. Lovely summary page. It was really nicely done. That was left off. You all knew it was gonna happen, or at least Mike and Elliot did, and that was left off. Why? Why? I don't like that. I feel that that is not treating me respectfully.
The
No one was
only
rude to
thing-
me or anything like that. You're absolutely right.
The only thing I take issue with is calling it over and over again a last-minute change. When we have a public hearing, and there was, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks before the public hearing, so anyone could speak. It wasn't last minute in my mind, but
Fair enough.
you can have your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. That's, like I said.
All right, is everyone,
I'm good.
all right? I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all for coming.
All right. They're so
They
good. They
are.
actually
So on the agenda, we're gonna transfer signs, and so, of course, I know the law, and so the law does